Real Talk with Grace Redman features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redman.
So excited to have you here today. And I remember over the summer when we sat down after, some time and started chatting, like our conversation was just deep. I was like, Sam, you got to come on and talk to us.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know, when we sat down a few months ago, the topic of the pandemic came up, of course, because that's, a topic that most of us touch on a little bit, at least when we sit down.
Right.
And we started talking about how, the last, 20 months, 18 months has changed our lives in so many different ways. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that with you. And I know for you, you said, Grace, it changed all three facets of my life, like my personal, my career, my side hustle. So I just wanted to touch base with you and see like what was the biggest kind of life shift for you during this last couple years almost.
Wow. Well, like everybody else, it shifted a lot. I think everybody's life shifted. There weren't a lot of people that were continuing to live the way they did previous to the pandemic stuff. Side hustle, the Blue Dog events basically completely shut down. All of our events are very social. There's hundreds of people in a room. So those completely came to a stop. And so it shifted away from being able to do any of those events at all. So that changed there. And then on the other hand, my day job, but working in Old Republic Title, completely shifted to like a 300% increase in volume and the amount of business and busyness that I was dealing with. And so,
which is crazy.
It's nuts.
Not
what we expected.
But what do you think was the factor, that made that shift, increase business by 300%?
I think there's a few factors. Probably one of the bigger factors was the pandemic kind of made people realize where they were living, what lives they were doing, how their lives worked and what was important to them. And I feel like I'm in the East Bay, I'm in Contra Costa County. We had a huge exodus from San Francisco and the peninsula from so many people who lived in apartments who were, that initial lockdown of a few months where people were stuck in their homes made them realize that their homes weren't very big and they had no yards and it was tough to get outside and see sunlight and green grass. And I think it put things into perspective for those people in one regard. And part two of that was so many of them were working from home and realized that it was possible to work from home and no longer needed to be close to those businesses in the city to do that. So they came out this direction. And so the market out here in most of the Bay Area, and most of the United States, but I think it was a big factor for a lot of people was to, hey, I don't have to drive back and forth anymore. So why am I not living in a house with a yard where my kids can run and play and not be locked down in this apartment that I'm paying some crazy number for anyway? And so I think that's where the majority of the business came, especially in our county. I know a lot of counties were busy, but we had a huge amount of people come from the rest of the Bay over to this side of the Bay for sure.
And I love hearing those stories because typically when we, are in a downturn or, this pandemic, it's like you hear about, like my business definitely took a hit. And I made an effort to stay positive. And what helped me stay positive was hearing, okay, well, this industry is very busy. And so it reminded me that in whatever, I don't even know what to call this because it wasn't really a downturn. It was, in whatever situation we're in, there's always going to be a way to thrive. And it helped me, because I heard, okay, all of these industries are going crazy and they're thriving. And it inspired me. And I said, you know what? There has to be a way to get creative to also thrive during this time instead of falling into a depression.
Right.
I'm sure there was times I felt that way. I'm sure there was times you felt that way too.
Sure.
But just seeing other businesses thrive was inspiring, and then that's helped me get creative.
Right. And being in one of those industries for me made me continually put things into perspective. Like we were crazy and it was busy, and I was bummed out that I wasn't doing Blue Dog stuff. But in that same regard, I had to be super thankful that I was at a place where I still had my job, because I know plenty of people lost their jobs, that I wasn't in a business that, a restaurant business that was really suffering during those times when it was shut down and struggling to figure out how to survive. So I had to constantly remind myself, as well as the staff in the office, because we were overwhelmed for a long time.
Oh, I bet.
We've had busy times, but when it's busy for 18 months straight and it's crushing you, even with the, hey, you guys, we should be thankful we still have jobs. And everybody's like, yeah, forget it. I'm done. I don't want my job. But you had to keep reminding yourself there's people that are really suffering right now. And we're very fortunate to be in a position in an industry that isn't suffering. And we need to be thankful for that. And so it definitely helped put things in perspective and reminded ourselves regularly of that. So
for sure. And me too, although my business, took a hit, I'm grateful and thank God that it was still, we had essential workers that were working, and same thing. I stayed in gratitude every day. Every day I stayed in gratitude. But you're right. We also need to step back, and although I am grateful you were grateful, I feel like there's time that we need to step back and regroup. We can't run on empty.
For sure.
So what were some ways that you stayed grounded and helped your team stay grounded? Because that's a very stressful, it was a very stressful time, not only business, but then you guys are probably navigating, what's happening in the world around. It was like crazy. Like we didn't know what was going on, and you didn't get the chance to be home like the rest of us.
Right.
It
was tough. It was tough. I don't even know how we survived or how I survived. I know that I struggled probably internally a lot more than I should have, because I felt like, especially here, I needed to be that beacon of hope and laughter and positive encouragement, because they were crushing it. And what they do in the office is not what I normally do. And so I became someone who was in the office more. And so not only was I doing what I used to do, I was now doing stuff in the office. So I became more the caretaker during that time, and probably less of a caretaker for myself and more of a caretaker for everybody else, because that need is what was needed to be fulfilled. The office was really, having a rough time. And so I probably could have done more to take care of myself during that time. I definitely did things, but you reach to whatever's available to you. I remember when golf courses opened.
Oh yeah.
It like a big thing, because there'd been so little social interaction with all my friends and the people that I used to hang out with and play poker with, and we weren't playing poker anymore. We weren't doing any of those things. And as soon as golf courses opened, all of a sudden I'm golfing a day or two a week, and finding clients that want to go play golf and getting out as often as possible, because it allowed us to be social again and be outside.
Right.
And so that was definitely a good coping mechanism for me. Never been a great golfer, but it's always been something steady, and I can hang and my game's okay, but I always enjoy going out there and having a good time. And so that allowed for that, because that was so missing for such a long time when we were fully locked down.
For sure. And we talked about that, human connection, and sorry guys, we talked about that human connection and missing that so much. And for me too, when the golf course opened and Mike and the kids could get out there, for our family, that was a lifesaver, because like you, they're very, need that connection and being out there in the fresh air and getting that exercise. But I mean, what else did you do for yourself? I mean, was there something else that you did other than go out there a couple of days a week? Because you're managing a lot.
Yeah, no, work kept us pretty busy in general. So, it was a lot of work. And then, what we could do when we could get out with the family and then do that, I for sure enjoyed bonding more with my son at home and being home and having the opportunity to do that. He was still being homeschooled and doing it online. And so he was there all day. I was there all day, a lot of days. Even just having the time during the breaks that he had from that, and then being home when he was done with school instead of coming home 3 hours after he's done with school created a lot more time with the family. So Kathy and JMO, being able to spend a lot more time with them is pretty much how we coped. I think that's how we all coped, is kind of leaned on each other, sometimes in good ways, and leaned on each other sometimes in bad ways.
Yeah, it wasn't always easy.
Yeah, there was pluses and minuses to that, but I think it was definitely part of the coping mechanism and a learning experience. I
Mm,
think from any of that, you start to recognize things in yourself when it's there every day and it's in your face every day. You either say, hey, I don't like this about me and I need to change it, or I really like this about me, I need to do more of it. And so I think
mm,
when you're forced to kind of look at it and go, why is this so rough? Or why is this so good? You start to recognize things. And I think it's not something we all do as often as we probably should. And we were all kind of forced to do it. Maybe not the
mhm.
first month or 2 months, but after about 6 or 7 months, you start to really, you recognize things you like and don't like and why you do and don't, and things you
Mm,
probably want to change about yourself and things you probably wish people in your family would change about them.
my
Uh,
God.
it's a lot because you're seeing so much of each other so
Mm.
consistently. So
Well, you can't hide, you can't
no,
run, no
no.
distraction, you're in each other's faces, most of the time, and I can relate to what you're saying. It was like, "Oh my goodness," what I know for me, I was presented with situations where like, "Okay, Grace, you need to make some changes. You have some decisions to make, and how are you gonna do this, and what are you gonna do?" But like you said, it was a lesson, and it was I tell you what, I haven't grown so much the way I've grown in the last 18 months.
All right.
It's been insane. And so for you, if you could say what's one there's been many lessons like you said, but what's one lesson that kind of really stands out for you?
Hmm. I don't know if there's a lesson, one lesson. Obviously, it was a lot of growing across the
Mm,
board. And I think that is probably the key always. If you're
yeah.
constantly growing, then you're constantly improving your life because you're learning and you're growing. All the little factors of ways you learn to cope, learning how to cope with situations that you didn't have to deal with before. That's a lesson.
Yeah.
Um, got to know way more neighbors
Ah,
just walking through the neighborhood, and maybe we're not best of buddies and hang out all the time, but we all know each other now and see each other. And we've always had surrounding 5 or 6 houses, everybody knows each other, but a block down, no. But when you started seeing them every day walking their dog, because
mhm.
now you're all outside trying to see people.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But it reinforced a sense of community and
Mhm,
you know, and those things I think were lessons that slip past a lot of us. I know that we have that with our families, and our families are large, and so we get that sense of community there. But outside of that, we see people when we can see people, and we've got our best friends that we've known for 20 years, and sometimes we go 2 months and we don't see them,
that's right.
and sometimes we go, so reminding yourself of who those people are and connecting with them regularly, I think was a something that you kind of had to do at that point because you didn't see them. You didn't see other people and you missed that connection. So you call the people you know and you love. And so you connect with them more. So I
Mm,
guess that's another lesson is just staying in touch and
yeah.
reaching out to those that you miss and not saying, I'll do that later or I got to give them a call. I miss them.
Mhm.
Just call. I don't know. I do that a lot and I've always done that a lot, but I definitely reinforced that during that time.
I do that a lot too. I feel like the one thing I learned is like I was always so busy that I didn't do that really. And
Right.
everyone knows, like, if you need me, I am there in a heartbeat, but I'm not the one that's usually reaching out. But now I make an effort because I've learned the most important thing. It's of course we love business and we have to make a living, but I was conditioned to believe that that was the most important thing, like work, work, work.
Right.
And now I realize it's number one, it's self-care. And two, like you said, it's our families, the people in our lives, being connected with them,
Right.
nurturing the relationships.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we nurture the relationships in our lives. I feel like we take them for granted that they're
A
always
lot.
going to be there.
A lot. And I've always done that. I kind of in my group of friends and people that I grew up around was the hub. I was the one that called everybody. I was the one that got everybody to show up on Saturday at this time. I was the one that always did that, and I missed that because I used to do it a lot more. So I think some of that time re-engaged making those connections and
Mm,
reaching back out to those people. And again, nobody that was ever distant for any length of time or for any bad reason, just because we get busy. And
Yeah,
our lives are busy. We just roll and you put your head down, you go to work, and then you come home and then you're exhausted and do what you got to do with your family. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have time and I meant to call so-and-so and I really missed them and I needed to say hi and I didn't. But I make that effort. I make that effort a lot. Like I
yes.
try to do that a couple calls a day
Nice.
through all my mixed work calls that I'm doing and everything else I'll deal with. I still try to call a couple people a day just to say, hey,
I love
and
it.
what's going on, and let's get together, and when can we meet up, and let's have coffee, or let's go grab lunch,
I love it.
because we need that, and I think we
We
need
do.
people like you and I who have always been those social beings and need that and needed that more in the last year and a half than we had previous, because it was always around us before. And
Right.
we've had to make more reaching out to get there
Yep.
because it's harder.
And I can relate to what you're saying, although I don't reach out on the phone often. I'm definitely the hub. I'm the one that gets everyone together and coordinates the parties. And you're right. Like once we were able to go out, to dinner, I was out to dinner with whoever wanted to go out to dinner. I'm so like, I've been at town like twice a week because I
Right.
just want to see people.
Right.
But going back to talking about the busy, I feel like in our society, and correct me if I'm wrong, like it's a badge of honor. Years ago I felt, oh, I'm so busy and I'm working so long and I'm so hard. Look at me, like give me a badge. Like
Right.
it made me feel proud. When in reality, Grace, that was stupid. Not putting myself down, but I feel like we were conditioned to believe that work defined us.
For sure.
And that's the false story that we tell ourselves. I know that now.
For
Not
sure. For
not
sure.
that I don't still have that belief because it's so ingrained, but it doesn't define us. And I'm learning that the more fun I have, the more I connect with people, the more I enjoy myself, the more successful I become. It's not all about the work. That's like resistance. Not that we don't have to work.
Right. No, I agree. And I've been very fortunate because in both of my businesses, that is my job. My job when I'm here is mostly sales, and branch manager is managing the people within my office, which is ultimately sales.
Yeah.
It's connecting with people and finding ways to connect and make sure everybody's on the right page moving forward. But my day job is all relationship building. I'm not a salesperson like, come here, look at this cup, I want you to buy this cup, let me tell you about this cup. It was about making relationships and creating relationships with all the clientele, and in turn getting the business because we have that relationship.
Yeah.
And so continuing to do that throughout the rest of my life has always kind of been how I've been. Like I'm always the connector. I'm always the one that's trying to think, oh, you need your house painted? Let me hook you up with my buddy. That's just how I roll, period. Like I'm always in that spot and always trying to help people in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's fulfillment in that. So I'm very fortunate to be in a place where that's what I'm doing. Like what you're talking about doing and reaching out and having those connections is I'm in a place where my job allows me to do that during the day. And then when I'm doing Blue Dog stuff, similarly, I'm bringing people together. I'm helping people that are getting together, making connections with all these different nonprofits and all of these different organizations trying to raise money for their causes. And it continues to allow me to have that same stuff. So the fun of what you're talking about is I'm very lucky to be in a place where both of my businesses allow me to do that. And it's part of my job.
Yeah.
It's part of my job description.
I love that because that's how I felt in staffing for like over 15 years. It was like, I loved it. I love connecting with people. Like you said, it wasn't sales for me. It was relationship building. And that brought me so much joy. And then there came a point where it felt like a job. So then I made that shift, and that's where I started the coaching. And now I'm at a place where, like you said, it doesn't always feel like work. Like I ain't gonna front. Sometimes it feels like work and I have to take a step back.
Sure.
But just the perspective of switching that perspective from, okay, this is sales to relationship building, it's nurturing, it's connecting with people. It makes me feel great. Like I love what I freaking do because I love people. I love like this is a job. This is a job. This is fun.
Right.
Just like you. And that's why I think you and I always kind of connected on that level. But I want to go back. How'd you get into the title business?
Super fluke. Super fluke. I had a delicatessen, multiple,
And I used to love your sandwiches.
And did that for years. Family business that turned into my own business, and that's what I thought I was going to do forever, because that's what my parents did forever. And I got to a place where an opportunity to change happened, and I took a break and got rid of the last deli and said I'm going to take 6 months and just kind of hang out and see what I'm going to do and enjoy, because I'd done the 12 hours a day for 10 years, 7 days a week, and a break was nice. So did that for a little while. Had a friend that had a gym and said, hey, you can come sell memberships, work 3 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever you want to do, come do. And so I did that for a short period of time and hung there for a while, just kind of keeping myself busy doing something until I figured out what was next. And one of the ladies that worked there, her mom worked for Old Republic, and they were looking for a sales rep out in Antioch. And she wanted the job, but they wouldn't hire her because she was her daughter. And so she said, Sam, you should really check this out. And I interviewed thinking, yeah, whatever, I'll check it out. And I did. And thought maybe 6 months, a year, we'll try this for a while and see how it goes. And here we are 24 years later, still
I love it.
Grinding title insurance. But yeah, it's turned out, like I said, I think I realized when I left the deli, as much as I enjoyed cooking and having done that and being part of that business, and what I really realized when I left there was it wasn't that, it was the people. It was that every day 150 people came in and I got to chat with them and talk to them and find out about their kids and what was going on with them. And they did the same for me. And that was what I enjoyed about having the business. Not so much that I was passionate about sandwiches or lunch meat or making lasagna. It was that I was passionate about the people. And so I realized that when I came to this business, that, boy, I can be passionate about hanging with people and learning and teaching and growing and still have 2 days off every week. And
get paid
for vacation and all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously I worked in the deli too, in one of my relatives' couple delis and the coffee shop. And same for me. Like, I loved it, even though it was after, my day job, I would go to those, other jobs. It never fazed me, because the same thing, just like you said, hundreds of people, connecting with them, talking to them. And that's what that fills me.
Yeah.
I can be in the worst mood and then get on the phone or run into someone and just have a short conversation, and I walk away feeling full.
Sure.
So with the so that was 24 years later, and you've done amazing. So now I want to go back to the Blue Dog. Tell me about Blue. Like, what inspired you?
Similar flu.
You've raised millions and millions of dollars for all kinds of organizations. So thank you so much. Because I know it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort.
No, but it's been fun and it's cool. And so always been a poker player. Dad taught us poker at a young age, and
Friday night poker.
Different uncle's house every Friday. And yeah, so super fun. Enjoyed that. And then played with my friends and had regular games that we played and enjoyed ourselves. Definitely more about the camaraderie and enjoying time with each other, which is ultimately where I always end up. Mm-hmm. And my partner and I, who are my partner in the business, he wanted to do a fundraiser for his daughter's preschool. Mm-hmm. And said, hey, why don't we do a poker tournament for them? It'll be a blast. We did it. It went really well. Somebody had heard we had done that. Actually, no, I take it back. I think the next one was for a coworker that had Lou Gehrig's disease. Mm. And we said, you know what, why don't we do one for him? And so we did it for him, raised a bunch of money for the family. And at that tournament, I think somebody asked about doing one for their kids' lacrosse team or something. Like, oh, no, this isn't a business, not something we do. Said, well, we'll pay you. Just come do it for us, because this is so much fun. And so we did that. And the first few years were definitely more like doing it here and there, helping people out when we could, not with any intention of starting a business to grow a business. But as time progressed, it slowly become a little bit more here and a little bit more there. And it just continued growing. And so now, pre-pandemic, we probably average about 120 events a year, and usually somewhere from $3 to $5 million raised every year for different organizations.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's cool because you're always with people who are trying to help. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's showing up to a charity poker tournament is there to donate and loves the cause, whatever the cause may be, whether it's someone that's ill or they're a nonprofit creating opportunities for people who are struggling. Everybody that's there is always in a good place. They're all good-hearted people. No one's coming there, with an attitude. Everybody's coming there with a real. So there's always such a positive vibe, and everybody's there for a good reason.
Amen.
And so you're always surrounded by happy people who are having a good time, enjoying themselves, and helping a cause. And so being able to help facilitate that it's cool. It's a cool feeling to, it's fulfilling to see that. It's fulfilling to see how many times you're in a situation where, they're thinking, gosh, I hope if we could get $10,000 tonight, it would be amazing. And at the end of the night, them coming up going, Sam, we made $35,000.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe 35,000? And it's so cool to see that, and knowing that you were a part of helping them facilitate that and giving them ideas on how they can raise more money for their cause, and encouraging those that are there to donate and help. And so it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's a business, and we still make money, and just like anything else, you got to survive and thrive. But
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing.
But it's cool to be able to do it in a fun way.
Absolutely. And you're giving back and serving in a very big way. Can you tell us a story that comes to mind where it just blew your mind? Like, they came in, they needed help, and their expectations were just beyond their imagination.
You know what? There was one, and it was actually for one of our guys. So from the get-go of this business, we've had one, like our right-hand guy, who is always assisting us at every tournament, and one of our better dealers, and always takes care of us whenever we need him. He's there to help out, and he got leukemia. And so we threw a tournament for him, and we invited all of the people who had ever supported us, and all the people we've done tournaments for, and all the people who have come. We have a bunch of followers that basically just like playing poker, and they don't want to go to a poker room and give it to the other seedy guy who's playing poker in the poker room. They'd rather it go to a good cause, but they enjoy playing. So we have followers that come to our events that just doesn't matter what the charity is. They know it's going to be a good cause, and they will come and donate to that cause while still having fun playing poker. And so everybody pulled together for this thing, and it was similar. We were doing live auction items, and things we expected to sell for $500 were going for $3,000.
Wow.
Watching people pull together for one person and show what our community and that poker community and that charitable foundation community could do to help one person, knowing this guy was going to be out of work for a year or two, and helping him survive. And the expectations were blown away. I mean, I was in tears, and I don't get in tears very often.
I can feel it. Like, I'm just emotional thinking about it.
It was a really, really cool event. And he wasn't there until maybe the last, just because at the time exposure to a lot of people was not a good thing for him. And so he was able to come the last few minutes, and just a few of the stragglers were still there and got to see him. And just to tell him what happened and what was raised and what we got for certain items because he'd seen us do these things all the time. So he knows what the expectations of having 50 people are, or what the expectations of having 100 people are. And when you 5X it and 6X it, it's cool. And we've done a lot of stuff for a lot of people, and there's been a lot of really good charities that we've helped raise a lot of money, but this one was personal. So I think
I can feel that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I feel is humanity is good. We are good. People are good. Community is good. It's just, we've had so much insanity going around us that we forget that at the core of who we are, all of us, we are good. We do step up to help. There is community. People care.
Yeah.
And I just want to sit like in this amazing energy for a minute, because you took me back there with you.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. And it just feels like this, if we could just sit in this energy, bring that energy in all the time. Wow. Right. Because I believe people are good and they want to help. I mean, look what you and your team have been doing, and the people that come.
And I think most people want to be that way, and most people are that way.
Absolutely.
And again, it's that we're busy. It's our heads are busy.
Yeah.
Our heads are busy running this way, and we're doing. Everybody's just feeling like they just got to find a way to survive.
Yeah.
And if they can step back and take a break and recognize and look at those situations, and I think most people want to be that person. Most people want to be that giver. Most people want to help. Most people want to be part of the community and share.
Yes, I
But
believe
you got
it.
to remind yourself. You got to remind yourself, and someone's got to remind you, and we got to all remind each other all the time to
Yes.
be doing that, because that's what keeps that flow going.
Yes, and it's 100%. And you're right. We're all that to the core, and we have to remind ourselves and do something about that busyness. But I'm gonna see who's with us right now, because I just want to give them some love, because I feel a lot of love in my heart right now.
There are people out there.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Tammy, and Noha's here. Thank you. Said God bless you both. Tammy's really enjoying it. Edith is here. Edie's with us. Michelle, thank you, Michelle. Edie says she wish she has a sandwich right now, Sam.
So do I.
Yeah. And Tammy, fundraisers are such a blessing. Really, they are. And then just that story, I feel like, is a blessing for me today, and for those who are watching, just to know that at the core, all of us are good, and keep that in mind when we're out there and we run into someone who may be having a bad day. Like, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal, because you never know what the other person is going through. Maybe they are that person that just got diagnosed with leukemia. You don't know. So stay in compassion and love. So
For sure.
I love this. I can just keep going on a tangent.
I use that. You just said that, and I've lived by that for such a long time. And of course, we all get sucked into once in a while getting frustrated about people and their situations. But I've always looked at it that way and say, hey, if we're at a restaurant and it's slow and things aren't moving as quick, especially this day and age, you're like, okay, they're short. I know people are short-staffed, and you got to remind yourself that's what it's going to be, and it's going to take a little bit longer, and your expectations need to be checked. But you don't know what that other person is dealing with and what's going on. And even if it gets to the point where it really does rile you up, where I usually check myself is if they are that person that just seems like, hey, you know what, this person just got a really negative, ugly attitude, and it's frustrating me, I'll usually say to myself, I have to deal with them for like 30 seconds to a minute. Right. And they have to deal with themselves for the rest of their lives.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes.
And so
yes.
When I get frustrated, I mean, like I said, sometimes it's hard to check yourself and recognize that. But like I said, even, most times it's just somebody having a bad day, and you got to go, okay, they may have a bad day. I don't know what's going on in their lives. Maybe something dramatic just happened. Maybe on the break, they got a horrible phone call. Who knows? But then you get those people that or you feel are just kind of,
that's just how they are.
Right. Or you've had multiple experiences with them, and they're always like that. And that's what I do when I get to those people. When I get to those people, I'm like, I got to deal with them for 2 minutes. You know how short 2 minutes is in my life? Like, am I really going to let this rile me up to I start to act like that person because of the 2 minutes I have to hang with? Let me just go ahead and, instead of getting frustrated with them, feel bad that they're in a place where that's where they're living from. And I've got it good that I'm not feeling that grumpy and that frustrated all the time. And not to put them down, but it makes me recognize that my 2 minutes is nothing. I get over it. Like, whatever's making them feel like that every day, all day, and every time you see them is much rougher on them than it is on you for the 1 minute that you do it. And none of us need to be disrespected or treated in any way we don't deserve, but bless it, they got to deal with their own stuff. And I'll suck it up for that minute or two that I got to deal with you, because you got a lot more going on that you need to work on for yourself.
Oh my God, you hit it on the nose. I'm the same way. It's like, someone's like, oh, I was just disrespected. I'm like, who can you imagine what this person is going on in their mind? Can you imagine for them to act like that, what might be going on in their heart? No, I don't feel disrespected, because this person is just not in a good place, has nothing to do with me. And I just, move on, because I don't want to give my power away. And then I also want to be in compassion, because you're right. Someone who shows up that way, what are they going through in their mind and heart?
Right.
And you know what? Oftentimes, if you show them a little love and compassion, that's probably, they'll walk away. You'll never know how you may have affected them in a positive light, being polite. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes when I'm in a bad mood and then someone triggers.
We've all done it. Yeah. We've all done it. It's not always easy to do that.
No, it's not always easy, but I'm with you. Like, when someone gets frustrated, or I get frustrated and we're venting, I say, you know what? Stop right there. Consider the source. Where's that person coming from? Right. They're not in a good place. So you can't, we have to hold people accountable, but I'm with you on that.
I think I kind of realized it as we're talking that am probably better with that with strangers than I am with people that I'm close to.
Oh,
And that I could probably stand to be more that way with people that I'm close to than just the strangers that I'm giving that benefit of the doubt to, and not take things as personally with people that are closer, because they're in the similar boat and they're dealing with the same things as that random person. But I don't give them the break that I would otherwise.
That's true, but also I feel like the people closest to us and our family trigger us the most. I think, well, I know for me, I've had to do a lot of work around that. And you're right, the closer the person is, the more challenging, because we're more invested.
Right.
And our triggers run deeper than like, this is a stranger.
Sure.
So yeah, sure. I've been working on that.
It's hard. It's hard because it's constant, and yet your history and your
exactly.
Yeah,
you get triggered back to that little girl,
Right.
and then I start, I get, like the trauma comes up, and I want to, scream and shout. But
it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
It is, but if we're aware of it, like we're talking about it right now, we're aware of it,
right?
And the key is awareness, and that helps us stay in the compassion. And we're freaking human, dude. We're human.
Sure.
Okay. There's going to be a time I'm going to be like, bye, Felicia. And that's okay.
Right.
So who would you say has been the biggest influence in your life?
Probably my dad. Yeah. Yeah. Good and bad.
Tell me more. I love I'm a bum.
I'm a bum. If I could pinch your cheeks from here, I'd do it.
Yes, he would.
It's amazing that people still, that's like literally such a memory for so many people from a child to a full adult. Inspired in lots of ways. He's definitely one that helped me. The social being that I am is definitely from him. He is that social being. He was always that social being. He was the guy that got invited to every wedding, regardless of how close he was to that family or not. He was the guy to have there because he knew everybody else there and they all knew him. And he was, we never saw him if we went to a wedding. He literally was from table to table to table to table talking to everybody in the room. So I grew up watching that. I grew up seeing that. And I appreciated that. I appreciated how he treated everybody and how people treated him. And I think that it for sure unconsciously inspired me to live my life that way. And then the whole putting yourself in that other person's shoes. He taught me that lesson a long time ago. Yes. And I think, a good 85% of my life, I do that. And I know that's from him. Sometimes you forget to put yourself in the other person's shoes. But for the most time, it's understanding that and understanding where people can come from and why they may come from that place, and trying to understand and put yourself in that spot. And recognize what's going on there.
Yeah. And that goes back to the compassion.
Yeah, for sure.
Empathy.
For sure.
And that it goes a long way. Very long way.
Yeah. Super inspirational that way. Yeah. I think for sure. Mom, not a far second behind that by any means, because she's very much the same person. They have very many of those attributes in common. She is also super caring and loving and compassionate. The smart ass is definitely dad, not mom.
Yeah, for sure.
I get that.
I love that. But I love that about you both. I love that about you both.
Some days you're not with me every day.
But I'm not with you every day, but I learn how to handle my business.
Yeah.
But one thing, I'm gonna, really put a shout out to your mom. She has been just so supportive of me in this endeavor, and always just encouraging me and showing up. And like, that's meant, so much to me, especially with, my mom being gone, and just having her just constantly show up and support me. And I'm grateful to her for that. And if you're watching, I love you. So we're very blessed with an incredible, community. That's for damn sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I'm
lucky to have the family around us that we have.
Yeah.
And the community and the extended community.
Yeah. And I know, it's not perfect, and we have our, stuff, but 100%. I wouldn't change it. I mean, what we're doing now is moving forward to make things, how do I want to say it? Make the shifts to, for the generation coming ahead of us.
For sure. There's a huge amount of positives about our culture and how they do things, but there's a lot of negatives and things that
like everything.
like any other culture, there's a lot of things. And so, but recognizing those, and I mean, I can see a shift from, when I was a kid to today, 100%, with so many of our family members, and what's okay now that wasn't okay before, and recognize, but we see that with our culture in general, where we live, not just our personal culture and where we come from.
Exactly. And it's an evolution.
Yeah.
In any culture, any tribe. Has your life been very different than what you imagined it as a child?
No.
This is what you imagined.
I think so, yeah. From a fulfillment standpoint of what I enjoy doing and the things that I like, yes, I think it is. I feel like that. I mean, there's still room to grow, and there's other places I want to be and things I want to do that I haven't. But I'm not disappointed in myself or the life that I live and who I am as a person. I don't look back and go, man, I really should have not ended up where I am now. Some days, like everybody else, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I wish I did more of this. But big picture, no, I don't think. Looking back, that I would have wanted anything else but to be surrounded by friends I love and that love me, and the family that I have, and making the connections that I've made, and doing the things I do to help people when I can help people. I feel like that's always been me as a child, and it's still me now. I'm not disappointed in that.
I love it. And like you see, your heart just carries through all the way. I mean, today sitting here in this energy with you, and I don't, if the audience feels it, like, please, I just feel tremendous love, just the energy, just the caring, the kindness from your heart. And so thank you so much for being who you are and doing all that you do. I was so looking forward to connecting with you today because it's been so long. And you just, any room that you walk into, you light that room up because of that love you have, because of that caring you have. And so today you are a lesson to me and to maybe, the rest of us, that just to go out in this world and, do things from the heart and show up with that compassion and empathy that you learned from your dad.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was amazing to have you here today. And if someone is interested, tell us if someone's interested in Blue Dog events, can they still find you? Is that happening?
Yeah, we're back. We're creeping back into business. We've had the last 3 or 4 weekends. We've had an event every Friday and Saturday night.
Fantastic.
So things are happening. We're still doing it. There's definitely plenty of places that you can have tournaments like this and still be safe and raise money for your cause. So BlueDogEvents.biz. BIZ. That's the part you got to remember. BlueDogEvents.biz. Hop on the site, connect with me directly there. Call me, numbers there. Happy to explain the entire process, how it works. Ultimately, outside of being successful in the fact that we raised a lot of money, why it's worked and why this business has been successful is because we've taken the majority of the work out of the fundraisers' hands. So many other fundraisers are so labor intensive that, at the end of doing the golf tournament, everybody's crushed and everybody spent weeks and weeks and weeks doing all of this stuff. And at the end, you look at the dollar amount and you're like, okay, well, that's great. But the majority went to the golf course, and then we had to pay for food, and we didn't really end up with that much. What's made our events so successful is you literally just need to fill the room with people, and we'll take care of everything else. You could be the organizer of this event and pound to sell seats and sell seats and sell seats. But once you get there, you could sit down and play in that tournament the same way you would if you were a guest at that tournament. And then at the end of the night, we hand you your bag of money and you move on your way.
That's how I'm into a fundraiser now.
Yeah.
I'm a fundraiser.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a huge part of what's made it successful. Obviously, poker's taken off in the last 10, 15 years, and it's become way more popular. But we teach. You don't need to learn. You don't need to know how to play poker. We have tutorials before. People who have never played before have won our tournaments. Wow. And so it's not, don't feel intimidated by it. Don't go, I don't know how to play poker. I don't know that people we know are going to want to play poker. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how many people actually play poker, play with their neighborhood buddies once in a while, get together with their high school buddies and play once in a while. There's a lot more poker players out there than people think. So hop on the site, check it out. It kind of gives you an idea what we do, how we do it. And Yeah, we're happy
And
to.
I'll also at the end of the episode, the information will be there. And once it goes to the podcast platform, all your information will be there for Blue Dog events. And
Cool.
if someone's watching the replay and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll connect you with Sam if the information's not up yet. But thank you so much for joining us, Sam, today. I really appreciate you. That was a great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I appreciate talking to you always. And thank you for being that common soul that is very much like me. You deserve all the accolades you just gave back to me the same way, because you are that person too.
Thank you. Thank you. And for everyone that's watching, thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate you. And for those watching the replay, thank you so much. I am in full gratitude. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it and rate it. I'd appreciate it. And then until next time, I wish you an amazing day and look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Real Talk. All right, guys, take care. Love you. Bye.
Real Talk with Grace Redman features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redman.